Some people buy a Spyder and within a year, they stop riding it. Not because it broke and not because they don't like it. They just don't feel like riding anymore. And most of them have no idea why. But there are signs. And if you miss them, you slowly stop riding without even realizing it. I'm Kevin, low budget Spyder rider. And I've seen this happen more than people admit. In my last video, I talked about who should not buy a Spyder. This is what happens when you ignore those signs. Because nobody quits riding all at once. It fades. And there's one mistake that almost guarantees it happens. I'll get to that in a minute. It never starts with something obvious. It starts with subtle discomfort. It's small, easy to brush off. The bars feel a little off. The seat doesn't quite support you right. The wind hits you in a way that wears you down. Nothing bad enough to stop riding, but enough to keep it from feeling right. And when something never feels right, you don't crave it. But here's where it starts changing. You start riding different. You adjust without realizing it. You grip tighter. You shift around more. You brace in situations where you used to relax. You're not riding naturally anymore. You're compensating. And once you start compensating, the ride stops feeling effortless. And when the ride isn't effortless anymore, you stop looking forward to it. You still ride, but something's missing. You're not thinking about the next ride. You're just doing it when it makes sense. The excitement fades first before the riding does. And this is where most people get stuck. You think more time will fix it. You give yourself false hope. You tell yourself, I just need more time on it, more miles, more practice. But here's the reality. If the feeling isn't improving, time doesn't fix it. It just makes that feeling more familiar. And then this happens. You start riding less. You skip rides you normally wouldn't. You take shorter trips. You ride less often. You don't notice it right away, but the gaps between rides get longer. And once riding stops being routine, it starts becoming optional. And when it becomes optional, you stop planning around it. You stop building your time around riding. No more planned routes. You stop taking trips. And ultimately it turns into, I'll ride if I feel like it. And that mindset quietly replaces the habit. And once you replace the habit, you stop riding. And this is the part nobody talks about. You don't miss it. At some point, you realize you haven't ridden in a while. And it doesn't bother you. That's when it already happened. When you simply look outside and you just see your Spyder sitting. And that doesn't mean the Spyder failed. It means something didn't line up. And the tricky part is, most people don't recognize it when it's happening because it doesn't hit you all at once. It shows up in small moments, moments we don't think twice about at the time. Let's start with fit. Not just how it feels when we're sitting on it, but how it feels after an hour or two of riding, or even riding a full day. Because if something's slightly off, we don't say, this doesn't fit me. We just cut the ride a little shorter. We head home a little earlier than we planned to. We tell ourselves, I'll go out again tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next weekend, and next weekend turns into whenever we feel like it. Then there's our expectations. And this one messes with us mentally more than anything else. Because we get on it with an idea in our heads of how it's supposed to feel. And when it doesn't match that idea, our brains start resisting it. not loudly, just enough to where we never fully relax when we're riding. We start second guessing little things like how we handle the bike, how it responds to our inputs, or even whether we were riding it correctly. And riding stops being something we fall into and turns into something we have to think through. And once riding becomes something we have to think about, we don't crave it the same way. Let's talk about how it feels. This is the one people almost never put into words, but it's the one that decides everything when we think about riding. Because when the feeling is off, we don't trust the machine completely. Not enough to scare us, just enough to keep us from fully settling in when we're riding. So instead of taking the long way home, we take the direct route. Instead of riding just because, we start needing a reason to ride. And this is where it really shifts. Because now, it's not about the machine anymore. It's about our behavior changing. We stop checking the weather the same way. We stop looking for excuses to get out. And without realizing it, we start creating reasons not to ride. And this is when it sits in the garage a little longer. That's when the battery tender becomes a regular thing. That's when we walk past it and don't even think about grabbing the keys. And eventually, we tell ourselves something simple. I'm just not riding like I thought I would. And that's the moment the decision is already made. Because from there, it's just a matter of time before we decide to sell it or trade it in. But here's the payoff. And here's what most people never experience when they decide to stop riding. Because when those same three things actually do line up, the opposite begins to happen. We don't think about riding, we just go. We find ourselves checking the weather again, looking for an hour here, a quick ride there. We take the long way home without even planning it. We trust what the machine is going to do. So our minds are free to just simply enjoy the ride. And that feeling, that's what keeps people riding for years. That's when it stops being something we have and starts being something we use. And not just use, but use consistently. So no, it's not that the Spyder failed, it's that it never fully connected. But when it does connect, that's when everything changes. So if you have one or you're thinking about getting one, pay attention to the small things because that's where it starts. And if you think modifying it early will fix that, that's actually where a lot of people make it worse. So in the next video, I'll break down modding your Spyder too soon and why that mistake pushes riders even further away from enjoying it. If you find this type of Spyder content useful, hit that subscribe button. And until the next video, live for the experience and definitely enjoy the ride. Peace.